Otherwise, we wouldn't have it. I think it's a great opportunity for us to get to talk to the faculty because, yes, we see them in classes, but we don't know what their rotations necessarily are. So I think it's a great opportunity to get to learn about what we would be doing next year rather than just picking them on the stand and seeing who we get. So I want to thank Rokai and PLS for sponsoring this. We're going to do probably for about an hour. The faculty are going to go down the line. They're each going to talk for about 3 to 4 minutes about what their rotation site is like and maybe a little bit of what you can expect when you would be on that rotation. We're not going to do any questions while they're talking. However, after the faculty are finished, some of them are going to be able to stick around for a little bit, and you'll be free to ask them questions personally that you're wondering about their rotations. After probably about a 20-minute break, we're going to have 3 residents who are coming in. Probably about 5:45, 5:50, we're going to start with the residents. And what we want to do is ASHP and APHA do residents, but we want to, there's a lot of you want to do residencies, and so we wanted to take a different look on it and have their opinion about rotations and what that meant while they were applying for the residency. So feel free to leave if you're not interested in doing residency or you don't want to hear what they have to say. You're free to go, whenever you want to, but if you want to stick around for that, we'd love to have you. Anyway, I'm going to have Dean Pisano say a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to also congratulate Rokai and PLS for hosting this function. It's a very important function, so at least it can give you some idea of what you're going to be doing over the next year when you go on rotation. I was in to speak with you a few days ago with Professor DiFrancesco, and I just want to kind of reiterate a couple of things. Your rotations that you'll get are perfectly adequate to finish your education, registered as a pharmacist, and build a career. A lot of you are under the false impression that if you don't have a residency, you won't get a job. I think that not having your certificate for immunization is much higher up on the list as to whether or not you might get a job. It's just about all employers want a pharmacist to be immunization certified. A residency is a great thing to do, but it's not absolutely necessary to get a job. So I know the faculty have their own ideas about that. We did pretty well with residencies last year, and as I said to you the other day, the majority of the residents that went out there were people that really could sell themselves to the residency directors. So, you know, there's a lot of work involved with that. You should undertake it if you want, but you should remember that, you know, there are a lot of other kinds of things you can do that don't require residency. So, just to keep in the back of your mind. When you guys go out on rotation in May, you need to remember that you're going to basically be on your own. All that we taught you, all that we try to hammer into your brain will come to light. It's amazing when you're out there and you're rounding with a physician, or you're behind a pharmacy, or you're speaking with a patient that isn't controlled by the college, the kinds of questions, the kinds of things that will come up. We've prepared you well for that. Your faculty know how to do this, we've been doing it a long time. But you need to remember that you're really going to have to do your own thing. You're going to have to figure this out. I need you to remember that it's okay to be uncomfortable and to be into situations which you're not used to. You can't grow, you can't develop, you can't become all you can be unless we push that envelope a little bit wider every time you go into one of these rotations. The other thing I want to tell you is that there are plenty of rotation sites for everybody. However, that doesn't mean everybody's going to get their first choice exactly when they want it. We'll do the very best we can to do that. But if you think about it, there's about 300 students and everyone's got to do 6 rotations. The computer randomly selects everybody, does a pretty good job of doing it. So if you really want to go with a particular faculty member, Dr. Jacobson, etc., you may need to put these people in a bunch of different places to make sure that you can go on a rotation with them. But if you only put one particular site one time, it'll just kind of depend upon how the computer figures out the equation on how to place everybody. The first thing we'll do is place everybody in a rotation, that covers the required rotations. That's first. And then elective rotations come second. Okay, just want to make sure that everybody has what's required for graduation, for accreditation, first. So those get filled first. So I think it's an exciting time. I'll have you know that when I did my required 8 weeks of rotation back in 1981, I did pretty well. I was at the Beth Israel. I don't remember a single thing I did there because it was a little bit different when I was in school than it is now. I will tell you that compared to my education, yours is much better, certainly much harder. And we're really proud of you. You've come a long way. We're looking forward to continue to work with you. So do your very best. I know you will. Thanks for having me. And you're up. Thanks.
Thank you, Pisano. You're welcome. All right, so we're going to get started with the faculty. I'm going to start with Dr. Rudorf, and they're going to just pass it on down the line.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm in a little bit different shape than I had in biology, but I hope it passes and it's going to be better soon. My rotation, as you can imagine, has to do with infections. But not only that, it's basically an internal medicine rotation with a focus on infectious disease. And you may remember that I had told you my site is Mass General Hospital. And so the bad news, I should say this first, is that there's no parking. So you have to find a way to get there because otherwise you have to pay about $40 a day, which is expensive. So that's one thing to consider, but most students have managed to get there from even far places. So that hopefully shouldn't deter you. But the good news is the hospital is, or our physicians are very pro-pharmacy. And I had really, in the last 7 years, I was very lucky to have, for the most part, teams that were very embracing having pharmacy students on rounds, and that is in part due to some of your peers who have done a great job. So your peer students have sort of paved the way, and I'm very lucky that the teams have a very good understanding of what the pharmacy students can do and the contribution they can make. So that also means that you guys are going to be asked questions, and a lot, and sometimes very difficult questions. And that translates in quite some work. So if you are interested in long days and quite challenging work, but also learn a lot, then I would highly recommend you come to change. So what do I mean by time intensive? The rounds start at 7 in the morning, and usually I try to be there before that. And that's 3 rounds, so the team goes around, talks to the patients, and just get an update of what happened. Then we have the new patients presented, and depending on the floor you are, there could be 3, 4, 5 new patients. They will be presented in depth, very methodical, by the younger members of the team, and they will be discussed with the attending physician, who is sort of the overseeing physician. After that, we have sit-down rounds. We discuss all the patients on the floor, which is about 25 patients per floor. And that can, last until about 12:30 or 1 o'clock. So that's the morning rounds. And then during that time, you are asked to answer questions or pretty much, get the question and find the answer for the next day. And I will be working with you to find them and help you to improve your writing style and also your presentation style. So basically, and I think my time is up. And so basically, you are, and maybe one final word I should say, there's also the opportunity to shadow some pharmacists. So you had last week the possibility to go in the operating room or go to some other floors with some specialty pharmacies. So you know where to find me. I won't be able to stay around here, but please come by my office if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay.